guys better get comfortable. This one is going to be a fucking beautiful podcast.
Epic.
I don't make many promises. Do you know what I mean?
Not ones that you keep.
No. Not real promises. Not like ones that I hold to. This one, I'm telling you now, get like some candy and some shit that'll, like some Four Loko,
right.
some Red Bull, some shit that'll keep you awake, because this podcast is not one to sleep through.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you, we've had some you could sleep through. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You could sleep through the ones where it's just us three.
That's true.
That's sleepable.
Definitely.
This one you can't sleep on at all.
Why is that?
Well, first, our theme song this week
Yes.
was done by producers Justice League,
Which is pretty nice.
a huge deal for us.
Yeah.
A huge deal for us because they did Rick Ross.
Right.
They've done a bunch of shit that I really dig. I think they did Drake, right? They did some stuff.
Probably.
I know they did a record on Nicki Minaj's record that I really like, and now they're doing our intro.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really do.
No,
We made that up.
actually.
We made that up. It's never anyone who's of good production value, to be honest.
No.
Ever.
Just
Greg
Just
Mayo.
our friend Greg
Yeah.
Mayo, who's
Yeah.
amazing to us.
He is, yeah.
Not to everyone.
No.
Well, welcome to Hype Man Podcast. We're here for another week. We're still in Los Angeles, which is always
Which
good
has been
for
wonderful so far.
the Rosenthals. Right,
Yeah.
it's been good.
Yeah. Oh, it's been great.
You
The
guys
wet-
went to like some serious fancy studio last night. I
We
heard.
did. Yeah, we went to Nightbird.
Yeah.
Nightbird Studio? It's pretty serious,
damn
right?
awesome.
In the Sunset Marquee.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like when you walked in you heard like, oh yeah? Did you feel like it was a very like serious moment of LA? Did you have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I was super Hollywood. I definitely,
Jeff was Mark Wahlberg.
right.
Right. Who were you?
I was.
You were Donnie?
I was Donnie.
Do you guys feel like maybe you want to go eat at Earth Cafe after this? Or something like more like,
Gonna be honest, don't know what that is.
I got to teach you some shit, man. I am taking you to Scoops tonight, though.
I
Yeah,
did
Scoops
want to
is the
buy some sunglasses, though. I'm very Hollywood.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Stunna shades?
No, I mean, just like, a little bit cooler than cool.
You're not that cool. Sorry. Yo, we're so happy to have our guest here this week. To me, this is one of those ones where there's a lot of hip-hop history in a room, and I feel like we could really dig deep into some stories that people don't necessarily know. Not the ones that you'll read in Vibe,
No.
or the ones that you'll read in magazines that are no longer relevant because they're magazines.
Yo,
you know
shouts
what I
to
mean?
Vibe. Shouts to Vibe.
Shouts to people who still have jobs in magazines. This is a very important podcast to me.
For everybody, really.
Everybody.
First, we have music supervisor extraordinaire. Basically, you can only say it a couple times, really, at all, that someone is stands out as a music supervisor. You can immediately hear something and go, I bet you I know who put that in there.
Right.
I feel like it's just this dude and the girl who used to do Rackman, Ricky Rackman's sister. Those are the only two times I know who the music supervisor is, just by immediately. And Ricky Rackman's sister did like Pulp Fiction, stuff like that.
I was gonna say like Grey's Anatomy.
Well, obviously. It does shows like Entourage, How to Make It in America. Scott Vener.
Yeah.
One of
The
our two
Scott
guests.
Vener, yeah.
And this is our first podcast where we have two guests at once.
No.
Right.
No,
Oh.
wrong.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Fa-
no,
the
we had the Fallon
Fallon guys,
writers.
yeah.
Right.
Fuck. Oh, well, whatever. Don't sleep through the Fallon one. That's very good.
Right.
The other one, I like to call him a Renaissance man. Because I don't really want to pin him down by just saying that he was a DJ,
No.
or that he was that he's your source for West Coast jewelry.
Right.
I don't want to say either
Or
of those
a
things.
good friend.
Or a good friend.
Right.
Those things all can run at the same time.
Sure.
And I'll just say a man of many hats, many trades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben Baller.
Yeah.
Ben Baller.
Thank you guys so much for coming
Yeah,
today.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's an excitement in having you here. Also a fear that Ben Baller will get us killed. Those are the two fears that I have overall are just, this is going to be amazing. We have to keep it amazing and don't die because of what Ben Baller
But
says.
since we're so close to the Orthodox Jewish neighborhood,
Yes.
just don't be alarmed. One thing you didn't know, Carl,
Yes.
is that half my entire family, blood related, are Jewish. So-
Really?
Well, luckily, you are with three people who look very Jewish.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're going to feel very at home.
Just by
man.
looks.
You're going to feel very at home.
And 4 who are.
Oh, four. It's Scott, and we have Scott Vener. We'll take him. That's a teammate we'll take. We'll take half of Drake and we'll take all of Scott Vener. So listen, this is a big thing for us to have, such a great sort of story here. To have two guys like this in the room, I feel like it would be amiss to not just figure out where hip hop entered their lives. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like where, we all obviously are not the people that the music was intended for.
No.
So that's kind of what the podcast is based around, is the idea that we're three people analyzing hip hop in a way that I'm pretty sure Melly Mel didn't think was going to happen. How does it get into your guys' lives? Like, where's the first time it sort of spoke to you? We can start with Ben.
My brother's about 8 years older than I am. So when I was real young, so I'm 38 now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was real young, like Wild Style had just hit. My brother used to listen to really heavy into Bar-Kays. He's
Right.
really heavy into Earth, Wind, and Fire. And eventually, obviously, there was Twilight 22, Electric Kingdom, stuff like that. And when that came in, I started breakdance. I started getting into that.
Really?
And even prior to that, I heard the first time I heard a synthesizer was Scorpio. Speaking
Yeah,
of Melly Mel
totally.
and
Right.
Grandmaster Flash. And I was like, yo, this shit is off the hook and I need to figure this out. So from there, I just fell in love with it. And being born and raised in Koreatown, I was right down the street from the Radiotron, which is the world famous, the first hip hop club.
Yeah.
So I didn't know you were allowed to go in there and be 8, 9 years old, you know what I mean, whatever. So I was 9 at the time, and I got a part as an extra, as a breaker in breaking.
Really?
And then I met Ice-T, and I kind of embraced him. I met Chris the Glove Taylor, and just from there, I met a couple other cats, got into graffiti, just got really into hip hop, the culture, all the way through, from the suede Pumas to the Nike suits to, and finally when I turned 12, I saved enough money to get a plane ticket to New York to meet Rocksteady Crew.
My God.
And I was a kid. I mean, think about this. This was 1975, 74. I mean, 1985, 84.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to meet these guys. So I went out there, hooked up with a couple people, and somehow I did get a hold of them, and then I met, not Africa Islam.
Right.
And then he gave me something for like, I don't know, some like membership card, like a laminated card, whatever. I thought it was a real big deal, but
sure.
Look at it now, it's like. But from there, it just evolved and kept evolving and kept evolving. And we can go on for,
Yeah, and what song outside of the ones that would eventually get sampled? Like, what is the hip-hop song? Like, as a breakdancer, because I remember those days, it's like Egyptian Lover can get in, and there's things like that can get into the mix, and you're like, okay, but what is it that first, like, what's the hip-hop song? Like, what's the, like, is it the message? Is it, what is the hip-hop song where you're like, I get this as a form?
Well, as soon as, like, at that point right then and there, it was not Scorpio. Damn, what was it? It wasn't Girls on the Dance Floor. Damn, it was. Not Girls on the Dance. What the fuck?
Well, LMFAO is the reason I'm in hip-hop.
No. That's far as.
Oh, damn it! Fuck. All right, I get all
from my neighborhood.
That's
I'm talking about damn, not meeting in the ladies' room. It was fuck. My God, it's driving me crazy.
It'll come to you when you're driving home.
Yeah.
It'll be like a George Costanza moment where you call us back.
Of course, Hard Times was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Sucker MCs was a big deal.
Yeah.
And like, of course, White Lines was around, but that wasn't the one that got you. I'm sorry, Freakazoid.
Yeah, Freakazoid. I love that.
That was what that.
I have that 45.
You had that. As soon as I heard that, I remember busting out at a dance, and I wasn't even supposed to be in the dance. Mm-hmm. And the best break dance was in 8th grade, and I forgot how old I was, but I was a kid, and I came out there and broke all kinds of crazy moves. Then I jumped on the Poor Man's K-Rock breakdance contest in Huntington Beach. My brother drove me all the way out there, and I won that contest. And then just started breaking. And
this podcast just got real West Coast, motherfucker. He said poor man.
You were involved with every hip-hop element before you were 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's a Renaissance man. I knew that. Scott, sir,
my
where does
story
hip-hop come in?
sucks compared to
No, don't even start.
You're like, accidentally someone gave me Hawaiian Sophie by Jazz. Accidentally.
I'm like,
it was a mistake. I was supposed to be buying Warrant cherry pie. No, literally, how does that happen?
I'm trying to remember. I think like it was, it had to have been like Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, that whole era of listening to music, Run DMC. And then I remember when I really got addicted to hip hop was when I had this kid who was bussed in. I went to a public high school and he was bussed in.
I know the bustin' rule, sir. Those were the only people I could talk to about hip hop records.
Exactly. So
I know
he was like, he used to sleep. He would stay at my house because he didn't want to stay on the bus the whole time because we both played on the basketball team. And he would stay at my house, and then I remember him having an X-Clan cassette tape. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is incredible.
You grew up out here?
Yeah, I grew up out here.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to high school. I went to Birmingham.
Okay, cool. I went to Calabasas, but that's only because my parents didn't want me to go to Taft.
Right. Exactly.
That was all bust in.
O'Shea Jackson went to Taft.
He did. Well, he didn't graduate, but he went to Taft. Yeah, he ran track, right?
We had Lisa Bonet, so.
That's much better.
Right.
I'd much rather have
you
that.
You can keep O'Shea.
Well, we had Elizabeth Berkley, so fuck you guys. We had Jesse Spano.
We had George Stephanopoulos.
That is, you just got super nerdy.
Well, actually, we had David Gregory, so he's.
Really?
All right. Fair enough. But I could totally see Birmingham hip hop influence. Now it starts to make to make sense. Because I think at Calabasas I had to fight for it. At Birmingham you probably had a little bit too.
No, there was a lot of hip hop. Actually Ben Moore. Remember Ben Moore?
Yes.
Who's he directs
Blood of Abraham.
And he was in Blood of Abraham.
Yeah, Blood of Abraham.
They went to our school. I remember he was running for like student body president. And his
oh my
whole
God!
Speech was a rap.
Wow.
Really? In front of the entire. They were into hip hop way before everyone.
I would love to have them on the podcast eventually.
You know
one
what?
day.
I actually still talk to Bozic and Ben, so I could reach out.
Yeah,
to one
please.
of them.
Those guys. For those who don't. For everyone who listens to the podcast, that's everyone who listens is under 22. But for those people, there was a rap group called Blood of Abraham, which as a white kid into hip hop, it's like they were the first, in my mind, to be co-signed directly by a credible black artist. I argue that all the time, which is like,
besides the Beastie Boys being, but
watch his mic. Yeah, we're gonna watch his mic. Yeah, go for it. Beastie Boys.
Besides. No. Besides them, I mean, really, because they're West Coast, and because a lot of my people were involved. The Anderson family, you know what I mean. If you remember Jamal,
right.
who
Totally.
played pro ball. His younger brothers were involved in it. You know what I mean. They're in the group. When they told me they were doing this, and they were doing it with Justin Warfield and a couple other cats, and I said, you know what, man. The music box was on when you called in a recording.
Love the box,
And right around that time, some kids break down a little history with me. I went to Fairfax and I went to Beverly Hills High. So between those two schools, there was a ton of hip hop at Fairfax.
Still is.
Yeah,
the Alchemist.
Alchemist and Scotty Khan.
The Hooligans.
They're a lot younger. When the Hooligans was coming out, see, when I got to Beverly, I had basically got kicked out. When I got kicked out, Loon was going to school, at Beverly. So Loon was there.
Bad Boy Loon?
Yeah, Bad Boy
Yeah.
Loon.
He's from out here?
Chauncey.
He's not from out here the whole time, right?
He hasn't been from out here.
Is it true that his life is sort of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing? It's based on
Yes.
him?
It's not based on him, but that's his story, right? That's the same story.
It's kind of his story. So,
because I thought the Fresh Prince was successful.
Oh.
I was going to say I didn't know the Islamic end. To
the Islamic ending of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is crazy. That's the weirdest second ending. Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, so we watching the box, and you see "Stabbed by the Steeple" comes on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on, wait a second. And my cousin's there. My cousins all go to Stephen S. Wise, Temple of Man. So this is like my Jewish cousins. They're like,
that's my school. That's where I
what
went
the
to
hell is going on
elementary
here? So then right after that, it's like the Hooligans, and it's basically, I mean, only rich kids could kind of like pay $3.99 for a video back then and request it.
Right.
So they were just playing a lot, and so that was a beautiful thing because it was not just West Coast, but it was people that were around us. In that time, The Good Life was around, barely just getting started. I don't know if you guys even know about that.
No, they don't. But we do. It was Project Blowed. This is again. We're just speaking. We're speaking we're speaking Armenian here. They don't have any idea what we're saying.
Ben Baller
It's
was
like
breakdancing. I was getting born. So
no, he's not dissing. He's not dissing. Listen, every week I'm like, listen, 4th Avenue Jones was this crew that it's just like right over his head. It was a club. It was actually like a health food place.
Kind of. Yeah.
It was a health food place that at night on weekends would open up and have like an open mic thing. From that space alone came all of Freestyle Fellowship, Farside,
wow.
Medusa, Madcap.
Yeah.
There's one person who blew up from there commercially. And it's always shocking. It's not Coolio, but it's like a Coolio.
Was it Exhibit or was it...
No.
Exhibit was Ballistics.
Yeah, which we could talk about too, by the way. I can't remember who the one person that blew up is from there. I'll get it by the end of the podcast. But anyway, Project Blowed was its own... It was out of this Good Life place. And there was a couple going on at the same time. Another one which we could get into, which he just hinted to, and I don't know if Scott ever went to it, but Ballistics, and we've joked about it before, but there was a club out here on the West Coast and in LA...
Right. Yeah.
That David Faustino, who's better known as Bud Bundy,
and Brian
Austin Green, and
Nick
the
Adler.
night Corky Nemec got on stage. Exactly. I don't remember if you know that. And Parker Lewis came up on stage one night. So it's basically every teenage white guy got together and put together a rap.
And by the way, I was one of the DJs.
And you were one of the DJs, yeah. And this was the same club I've talked about on the podcast where like Will I Am battled Exhibit. I mean, there was a lot of crazy shit that went on.
He was Will 1X then.
Will 1X. Right. And this is also the club that all of NWA performed at, which was crazy to see, and also all ages, so I could go at like 11 or whatever. It wasn't like a big deal. But the idea that NWA performed at this club was a fucking huge deal. Because it was really, they were either doing like arenas, like Fresh Fest. They weren't doing like one-offs. Like that doesn't happen anymore.
Dude, they're on tour with Guns N' Roses around that time too.
Crazy. So you don't get the opportunity. Like now you'll see Wayne in a small space or you'll see whatever in a small space. That just wasn't happening back then. So to see him, and then, there was another, the other club in LA that I used to go to, they did shows as well. And that was where like
Unity?
I saw Unity, right? So that's where I saw like Fat Joe and Big Pun, and I saw most of Wu-Tang.
Rest in peace to Bigga B. That's my man.
And Bigga B, that was Bigga B's club, right? So so we had a bunch, and I always argue with people from the East Coast. We had better shows as far as like being close to the artist. Because they didn't have anything like that on the East Coast. There wasn't like, and that was because of the Hollywood feel, I think.
Kenny, he started a thing called Lyricist Lounge back in the day.
Right. Yeah, which is similar, exactly, right. But they only had that. We had a ton of that shit, man.
But I mean, we had a ton of it, and I mean, there's so many experiences from Ballistics we can't even start.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And rest in peace, my man Rob One.
Yeah, Rob
He's
One
one
as
who taught me
well.
how to DJ. In 1984, he put the turntables in my hands, along with DJ Lethal, Leor,
Leor,
the Jewish cat.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes on in circles. But my biggest memorable moment, because Nick Adler was one of my best friends for 10 years. His father is the big, like such a, I mean, he's literally in the top 10 most powerful music moguls and pioneers in this game.
He basically, Sunset Boulevard was basically constructed, the music scene in Sunset Boulevard was constructed by his father.
So much more than that, but we won't go into that.
Yeah.
The most memorable thing is DJing there, Eazy-E coming in with the white 850 BMW, and in like 1991 or 1990, if you had you had an 8 Series, like you were clowning. Like, that was such a baller car.
Yeah.
And then we had an after party, and I'm having sex with some chick down the street from here, and in the next room, Eazy-E was fucking some chick, and I'm thinking, this is before the HIV thing, or the AIDS thing, and I'm thinking to myself, damn man, I'm fucking an Eazy, like my idol at the time. I mean, he was greater than Jay-Z. Anything, you know what I mean? This is like, I'm like, dude, Ice Cube is fucking next door, some chick. And I'm just like laughing, but that's like, there's so much shit that's just.
It was a crazy scene, and I was super young, so it was like I was just like, what's going on? But the ones I do remember Corky Nemec, Parker Lewis going up, and I was like,
definitely
this dude's gonna be fooled. And then he just kills it, and I was like, oh, now I just want to die. I was like, he's way better than anyone here. And then Brian Austin Green performed one week. I remember that, and Farside was like writing his shit. I remember that was obvious. Yeah. But I there's little moments I see. But Scott, was it the same thing for you? Did you grow up in that little sort of West Coast? I mean, that's the thing, is like, were you in that hip hop kind of thing?
I mean, I would hang out. I don't think I lived it like that. I think it was more consumer based for me. You know, I was more of a fan of the music. I wasn't out there. I don't think my parents would let me go at 11 to a club with NWA.
Us. Wait, so did you, like, from Birmingham, you grew up out in the Valley?
I grew up out in the Valley, but went to school, actually to private school at Stephen Weiss.
And
then went to Portola for 1 year, and then
now you're talking my language, sir. Parkman. I could talk Parkman all day. No, I think growing up in 818, like, did you? I know we've talked about this on the podcast before.
It's basically the hood.
Well, you may have been a little more than us over at Woodland Hills and Calabasas. We were where they moved. We were where Eazy-E and them moved. But I'm saying, like, did you know those guys? I mean, like, because growing from 818, like, you only heard the same names, which is Styles of Beyond, Def Sam.
For us, it was like in high school. I remember this will be a funny story, actually. Danny Boy and all the House of Pain guys,
818.
They would come
Mickey
to
Mouse
our
Club.
parties. They would find the Mickey Mouse Club. The Mickey Mouse Club would come to our parties, and they would actually steal our kegs and then go have their party. They would come in with a bunch of people, and whoever's party it was that night, they'd start punching everyone in their way. They'd run in, grab all the kegs, put them back in the car, and then they would bounce.
That's crazy. I mean, really? I don't know if I told
that happened at least every weekend. Because
Everlast at 818. I mean, off the top of my head,
I don't know if Everlast was down with them. This was Danny Boy.
This Everlast came in after. Everlast was signed to Rhyme Syndicate.
Yeah, right. Oh, I know that one. Yeah,
and so
definitely.
and like I said, Ice-T is my godfather, basically, and he's still to this day is my right hand man. So, but
I think Eddie Donaldson was the one. Eddie Donaldson might have been the one who told him where the party was every weekend, because he was he was playing both sides of the fence.
That's funny. Eddie Donaldson is from 818 too.
Yeah,
I knew. We're getting real Valley in here. I didn't know that one. But yeah, I mean, so is it something? Did you like? Because in our school, like, we had to go to TAF parties or something in order to see like rhyming or battles or ciphers or whatever. Like, was it happening at Birmingham? Was that like a thing where? Did you guys have did Def Sam go to your school? No, that's a guy from over there kind of area. Like, I'm trying to think who was rhyming over there. Like, was there a scene per se?
I don't think it was really a scene. I mean, there was kids doing it, but I don't think anybody really made it out of there that was, that we would know.
You guys make it sound like drugs, by the way.
I mean, it was, man. No one was doing what we were doing. You know what I mean? It's like you couldn't just go to a show.
It wasn't on TV.
Yeah, it wasn't on TV.
It wasn't even around.
It wasn't around. It was a lot like drugs. I remember going to Ballistics and being like, I'm going to be quiet, because if I say anything, someone's going to beat me up. You know what I mean? Like, it felt that was the vibe. Now it's all white kids.
Right. Like,
I mean, people looked at me funny.
Boys in the Hood was like the first time you
having
ever
like
got
a
to really
boombox
see
walking
it.
down the hallway.
Exactly.
When I graduated, or when I barely graduated high school, went to college, I knew what I wanted to do. But when I came back to watch, a friend of mine who I've known for almost 20 years, or over that, he started a show on K-Bev's name's Mine Karen.
Yeah. He's come up on the podcast.
Huge. So they were doing that, and I was like, damn, it's come a long way. And for even to come from there to into my professional years in the music business, I started at the bottom level. And we can get into that however you guys want to, but I'm saying just getting into that and seeing where it went from there to like the 2000.
Right.
Then from 2000 to now, I can't even fathom it. I mean, it's all hip hop. influenced.
It's all pop culture based.
What was crazy, actually, I remember this, is that I remember there being, and I'm trying to remember who the third group was, but it was Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, and maybe Run DMC tour at USC.
Fresh Fest?
Well, I don't remember what it was.
No, Fresh Fest was way before.
But I remember telling my parents that I was going to USC to see Public Enemy was like the biggest, like, you know, are you sure? You know, like it was like,
I remember.
Crazy militant.
Okay?
Do you remember Sports Arena? Do you remember Biggie, Bone Thugs, The Brat? Do you remember that show?
No.
Wu-Tang? Anyway, that's another one where I had to run for my life. That did end in a riot,
But the Public Enemy one, with the riot broke out there
as
too.
well, yeah. It mostly did. Yeah, it mostly ended that way.
How about 1988 Celebrity Theater in Anaheim? Because, by the way, if you guys don't know, NWA, biggest group in hip-hop history, still to this day. They're literally going to be up there forever. They were banned from every possible venue there was. This is when Ice Cube was still in the group.
Right.
I went there with Dave Faustino, all those guys.
Yeah.
And Dave Faustino came up on stage. And it was Ice-T, it was Eric B, it was so many rappers, it was crazy. And in this, the when you enter the door, it said no sports caps, it was no nothing. No sports gear, no red, no blue, no nothing. And it was crazy. It was in Anaheim. That's where they had to have a show.
Right.
Next thing you know, as soon as Eazy-E finished, I mean, it was I'm talking a 100%. It was 100 Bloods versus 100 Crips fighting, and just destroyed the place, and it was just crazy.
Oh man!
If there's one thing you take away from our podcast, please take away that David Faustino is probably the most hip hop person who lives in LA.
I mean,
it's deadly true.
It really did. All roads led back to him.
It really did. It was always a crazy thing. So let's speed up a little bit. So we can't. I mean, we can't leave too long on it because both you guys are super historied. But if we could just touch on where from that point, from where it goes, like how does hip hop become professional for both of you guys? And again, we'll try to keep it as short because I would love to hear what you think of hip hop now because that's really where we try to hit people over the head with. So for sure.
What is the question?
Do you like Razcats? No.
One of my artists.
There you are. So one of the I just like to pick one obscure guy and ask if you like him.
Wasn't he wasn't that the car accident? He had like some famous car accident.
Who, Raz?
No, it was Kanye West.
No. Did Raz?
I don't remember. I
remember that one song. That was the one song I liked the most.
I like a lot of
Soul
Raz
on
Cats.
Ice was his
Soul on
first
Ice is
record.
amazing.
That was I was his A&R. So
he has a 10-minute song about how white people took over like everything. Do you remember that? The Bell, something of the Bell.
I'm gonna find it, but I think there was some song where he had a drunk drive, or he had a hit and run while he was drunk and he killed somebody.
Whoa.
That's the song.
Oh no! He's talking about in real life, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, he put that in the song too.
I forgot.
Yeah.
But
Are you confusing that with Brandy?
That might be Brandy's story.
Ooh, wow.
So just tell us where it goes. You know, basically from this moment of Birmingham, and you're starting to hear hip hop, and it's becoming part of your thing, and where that becomes sort of like that's where I want to be involved in music. I want it like where does that?
You know
happen?
what? I don't think I ever said I wanted to be involved in music. I never really thought about it as an occupation or that I could make money at doing it or something like that. But basically, what had happened was I was working at MTV in New York, and I was running their talent department. And while I was there, a friend of mine wrote Entourage. And when he wrote Entourage, he asked me to check out the pilot. They had made the pilot, but they haven't picked up the show yet. So he invited me over to his house to come see it when I was visiting from New York in LA. And while I'm sitting on his couch watching it, he's like, "Why aren't you laughing?" I'm like, "Because the music's so fucking bad. I can't even pay attention to your jokes." and he was like, "Well, if you can do better, do it. Just watch the show and tell me what you think." I'm like, "All right." So after we were done, he handed me it. I ripped out all the songs and I they gave me one without any music in it, and I just started adding songs myself. And they ended up liking it, what I was putting in there versus what was originally in there. And then the first season, they just used me as a consultant. So now the music supervisor who was hired was, instead of pitching to the showrunner, which is more common practice, do you like these songs? The showrunner sort of, anointed me the tastemaker of the show and said, "Here, pitch to him. If he doesn't like it, whatever he says, we'll put in."
Man.
So that pissed him off, and he started sending in his assistant, to the meetings instead of him doing it himself for like the first couple of years. And I still was doing something else. I was managing writers and directors at the time, and I had left MTV like right in the same year, and we started I just started saying to myself, well, people are starting to like the music, and these guys are getting credit for it. That's bullshit.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it myself. And I didn't know anything about licensing music, which is really what a music supervisor...
Which actually might have saved you time, because there's a lot of stuff that gets through Entourage, and I'm always like, that's a hard clear. But that actually might help you in a sense that nothing held you back from wanting to put something in something.
Well, it's actually a very good point, because what I ended up doing was I just hired an administrative person to deal with the clearances, and I would actually be like
curating,
a caddy,
totally,
saying, here's the club you should use here, get it done,
Yeah.
Where if I had to clear the music myself, I would pick probably the road with the least resistance.
Totally.
So in doing that, by season 3, I was doing everything, and then season 4, 5, and 6, and now 7.
Right.
It got to a point where I would actually say in season 5, 6, and 7, no one shows up to the meetings, and I do everything myself.
That's
right.
Pretty nice.
It's really cool.
And that being my first time ever being a music supervisor, I started at the best spot I'll never be able to do.
So that's good about the show now is the music.
He said.
Actually, the funniest part is I remember the creator of the show in season 6, not this past season, but the season before, sent me an article that was written in Entertainment Weekly, which he told me I should put on my tombstone. It said, the only thing to look forward to on Sunday nights is the end credit song on Entourage.
That's true, man. It's a star. It's a star of the show.
Right.
It's like a lot of people are able to sort of, and since then you've picked up on How to Make It in America, which we all love purely for the Aloe Black reference. If you want to stay, I went to SC with Aloe, so it's great to see that. He's fucking super genius talented. And those are the 2 shows now. Is there anything else?
90210.
There you go. Okay. Which, by the way, doesn't have bad music. I remember watching it just purely for the 90s in me and being like, this has good music in it. It's very weird. It comes from a storied 90210 music past.
Yeah.
Because the Flaming Lips were on 90210.
Brian Austin Green,
Dave
Faustino.
Let's
bring it back.
Yeah. Wow. We'll stay there. Wow. And Baller. Let's dive into some of that.
I'm gonna run and speak.
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Tech 9 right now, super fast.
We love it.
Forget me being a DJ. I got a gig with Lucky by chance at the Roxbury nightclub in the early 90s. And the DJ there was smoking crack. So he missed a club night. I happened to be about 4 blocks away. I went home, get my records, DJ'd, bang. So I had a gig. Walking down Melrose, heard that Lou Adler, Nick's dad, was getting a restaurant started together with Denzel Washington. Next thing I know, I said, listen, I'm going to go up to him. He goes, and Lou's like, I don't want to come in here with nepotism. You got to kind of show Denzel, he's running it more day to day. I see him getting out of his car. We're on the corner of Melrose and Martell, right on the strip. And I said, yo, Denzel Washington. And he looked at me and I was like, man, listen, this is my CD. And I had some shit on there. Like I had Pete Rock,
Yeah.
Far Side, B-Sides, crazy stuff. And I said, listen to this tape because I know you like Nas, I know you like hip hop. And I just want to work at your restaurant. And he goes, it's a restaurant. We don't have a club. I was like, listen, man, let me just change the ambiance. Let me set the tone for you. I said, if this CD is not dope, and my phone number's on there, my pager number's on there, because I didn't have a phone then.
Right.
I said, I will work at the restaurant for the whole year for free. And I was starving. Like I was broke as shit.
Yeah.
I was broke as broke. A week later, some girl named Tish called me. I get the job. The place is filled with black celebrities. And it's a Jamaican restaurant. And it was kind of like a festival, but it was more predominantly black.
Okay.
And whatever. One night, Jada Pinkett has a birthday party there. She introduced me to Tupac. Me and Tupac become friends.
Really?
From there, Dr. Dre starts frequenting the club all the time. So one night, a big party happens, and I said, you know what? I'm about to set the whole fucking mood. I said, please let me take care of the whole night. And then, what do you mean? I said, I got the music. Let me turn all the TVs to something else. I threw the Mac on one screen, and then I threw on another black exploitation film on the other screen. I said, let me just fuck his head up. Went from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then got to the 90s. Walked down to the bar to get an iced tea, and Dre, I knew he was going to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew it. And Dre goes, yo, man, what you know about all that music, youngster? Next thing I know, he got my pager. About 3-4 weeks later, I figured he would. I get a page. I call. It's Can-Am Studios. That's Death Row Studio.
Okay.
Go down there. Rest is history. He got me a job. Me working with Sam Snead, working on the record. Dre was leaving. So me and Pac were kind of chatting about stuff. He was trying to change his ways, blah, blah, whatever. He got me a job where the NWO was originally signed, Priority. I started as a manager. From manager, within 2 years, became vice president. We had Master P, we had Ice Cube, Raz Kaz, The Bums. I mean, we had just so much hip hop that I can't even. boot camp clip. Shout out to Duck Down Records.
Kids' heads just exploded when you said the bums. Just so you know, kids are it's like I don't even have any idea what he just. I used to love the bums, by the way.
Yeah,
So.
Raz Cash, you know what I mean? Just everything. So basically from there, I got there. And then when Dre started Black Market Records, he couldn't get the name cleared. So I just ran with him. I actually left a contract. My boss was like, yo, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, whatever. We have 8 artists signed to Black Market. He can't get the name cleared. There's a group in some guys in Sacramento own the name Black Market Records. So he said, let's start Aftermath Entertainment.
Really?
So we started Aftermath Entertainment. We had this compilation come out. We had these things crazy. And I mean, from there, it just kept going. And then I was working on getting Tupac on a song. And I know this is really fucked up, and a lot of people don't know this, and maybe I'm going to get in trouble. And, you know, at the end of the day, how much trouble can I get into? You know, my security guard is the guy who punched Suge at the club. And by random chance, I used to work for Suge. So it's like, there's all kinds of trouble I get into. So what I say now, fuck it. One night, when I left, the R&B group that I had, Faith Evans and Missy Elliott, they were the vocal coaches. So I had a song with Faith on it. That was cleared and everything. I owned the song outright.
Yeah.
So I'm driving to Santa Monica on the set of Gang Related to go meet Tupac. Can't get there. He hits me back, says, Pac's like, yo, check this out. Yang, I'm going to have you come down next Friday. I got to go to the fight tonight. Tupac got shot.
Right.
Crazy thing. Tupac got shot. And then the Friday we were supposed to have a meeting was the actual day he died. So it was a real fucked up situation. Now, that's so weird. A week before Biggie had got shot, I'm in there presenting him. I wanted him to get on the American Pimp soundtrack that I was doing with Dr. Dre and Aftermath. And I get in the studio with him at NRG, which was in North Hollywood. It was a real weird studio, like totally not hip hop. And him and Little Caesar there, and I was playing some stuff, and we're like, yeah, cool, this is cool. Next thing I know, he gets killed. And so both of those guys, I was with them exactly 7 days prior to their death. Which was
crazy.
Weird, you know
Crazy.
what I mean?
I wish you would have had a meeting with Rampage, the Last Boy Scout. Why did it have to be 2 dudes we love so much? The cops are coming because they heard you made a bums reference. Like, get him out of there. No.
By the way, we are in LA, not New York.
Yeah, it's true. It sounds like we're. People probably think I live in Shitsville. It's probably let them have that feeling. So DJing. I mean, just to run through some of these: DJing, A&Ring, vice president of the label, and now you find yourself working. Which I believe, although I can't be sure, in a family business.
Yeah.
Yes, a family business, which is jewelry, which saying he does jewelry is just like saying Michael Jackson played basketball. The dude is very heavy in the jewelry game. Every musician.
Michael
Did I say Michael Jackson?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jackson did play basketball, though.
Where did he play basketball?
Okay, let me fix it. I made Michael Jackson's last piece of jewelry before he passed
There
away.
you go. That's why I said it, guys. That's why I had a typo in the middle of talking. But he again, I mean, Michael Jackson's just a small Drake. Your favorite musicians like Drake and stuff like that all get their jewelry from you, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
So
I've
that's a
done
big
everyone
deal.
from Nas to The Game to Fat Joe to, I mean, just it goes down. I mean, all the way.
Yeah. So there you go. So now we're caught up to date.
Yes.
We kind of know exactly where they came from.
Right.
We understand that Ben Baller can make bums references. We know
Yes.
Scott Vener can make Blood of Abraham references.
Yes.
We know that these things can happen. So it's important now to talk about what happens when we all get a little older.
Right.
Which is the idea that... Are you going to try to make fun of me?
Well, no, Eric wants to talk about TV Johnny.
Oh, God.
TV Johnny. We can start with TV Johnny, then get into music. And that's probably a good metaphor for what we get into about other stuff, which is just things have gotten a little shambles. Things have gone a little bit to shits. And I think one of the things that we do here at this podcast is sound like old men, which is everything that kind of comes out now is a lot different than what we were brought up on. And there's a lot of stuff that I really like. It's just that I think we still sort of have problems adjusting to this new stuff. If it's Waka Flocka Flame, if it's anything that we just don't understand, we're just having a hard time wrapping our arms around it, except for Jeff.
I like Waka Flocka. I don't care.
Jeff loves everything that sucks. But yeah, I mean, if it's
Jeff
young,
likes Waka like unironically.
Yeah. He also likes Young Jock unironically.
As a friend. He's a good friend.
As a guilty pleasure,
Yeah.
I'll fuck with Roscoe Dash as a guilty pleasure.
Good voice. That's why. Fun voice to listen to.
See, you like Roscoe and you don't like
No, I don't
Waka?
like Roscoe. I don't want
Sorry,
to kill
you love
Roscoe.
and you don't like... Okay.
I think it's very bad to speak about. You know how rappers have beef?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jewelers have beef.
Yes.
I got kicked out of
TV
Jacob.
Johnny.
I got kicked out of Jacob's store this summer.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I didn't know he was back out of jail. I could have sworn he still had to do a certain amount of time, and he had a halfway house. Go in there. I was escorted out. There's tension.
Really?
Me and Johnny are cool. But there's incidences that we have in certain things. Going back to the rapper reference, I forgot to tell this story, and this is real quick because me and Scott relate to us because me and Scott related to fam through Just, Richie, everyone else. And, you know, we're close with Rockefeller and Jay-Z and everything.
Yeah.
So basically, I hit up two people. When Jin came out rapping, I understand he was battling and he was talking like, you know, he thought he was the Asian hot Carl. He's like, so anyways, I told Dre in the studio, we're in Studio B at Record One. After my studio, I said, listen, Dre, if this kid sells 500,000 units, I'm doing $2 million off image alone. So Dre's like, you sure? I said, dog, have Hitman, have anybody write my rhymes for me, please. I'm telling you right now, just off image alone. If TLC sold 6 million records off image alone, let me do this. So then he was considering it, and I kind of chicken shitted out. And then I told the same thing to Dame Dash, who was my man. And he goes, yo, you want? I said, dog, let me tell you something. On some Asian rap shit, blah, blah. But look at it. Like, we come back, that was 10 years ago, 13 years ago, and 3 kids from my neighborhood, Korean cats, Far East Movement, are double platinum in the first hip-hop in history.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In history. So, anyways, going back to TV Johnny thing, when he rapped, he played it for me in his hotel room, and I was gonna kill him.
Right.
And I was like, wow. But it's so, it's like funny, like you laugh at JJ Beepers, you know?
Yeah.
They wouldn't know
I
that.
don't know it. I don't know it.
No.
Anyways,
I'm just happy I don't know who TV Johnny is.
Oh,
Really?
he plays poker,
He does?
big time.
Or maybe if I saw him.
Yeah.
TV Johnny's Paul Wall's guy.
You know what the best? Now that you brought up poker, I mentioned this to the other guys, but you know, there's actually a really good online poker player named Hot Carl MC.
Really?
I swear.
I wish it was me, man. I wish it was me.
No, he like makes a lot of money. Like he probably makes like close to $1 million a year.
Do we know why?
Really?
Wait, hold on. Do we know why he named himself this?
Obviously, he likes your music.
Really?
Yeah, obviously.
Or he's making the best joke ever.
No, hold on. Number one, there's no one who really likes my music. Two, I like.
Maybe he's the greatest story never told.
That's true.
Speaking of which,
I almost feel like I wanted to. Oh,
yeah, no, but seriously,
what a lead in.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I mean, do you? Well, I'm trying to think which season Saigon was on Entourage.
Wow, you're gonna make me tell this story, huh?
Please.
Well, you
I know
did
the
say
story,
greatest
but-
story never told.
I
You
know, that's
kind of
what
let
I'm
us into
saying.
it. Like, has there ever been a situation in hip hop where, I mean, my girlfriend knows who Saigon is because of Entourage. Like,
Right.
what has there ever been a situation before where a TV show has superseded a man's career, and not only superseded his career,
Ended it?
kind of ended it?
Yeah.
Which I don't think Entourage is the reason it ended, but there's a weird thing that just happened where it was like, yo, he's gonna blow up, he's on Entourage,
Right.
and then it was like, he's not gonna blow up, he's on Entourage,
Right,
which is
but-
very weird to me.
A lot of people considered, him like an actor first, and then
Which
like,
is so stupid.
it is. I know,
Yeah.
but most of America's stupid.
Yeah, I don't
So-
agree. My girlfriend's not stupid.
No.
Not stupid. I yelled it to the other bedroom. So our question is,
Yeah.
the more important question is, the question
I feel
is,
like Mark Zuckerberg. Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Is that a question?
Right.
Okay, so here it is. Do you think, looking back now, first we'll talk about, I'd like you to talk about how that came about.
Right.
But two, do you think looking back now, as a fan of Saigon's, which I'm sure you are, as we are, or no, all right, fair, as some people are, as Saigon as a rapper, where did that go wrong? What happened?
Where you mean, like in his music, or
In general,
the
it became a
career
stock.
path?
It became a stock not to bet on.
I mean, look, I can't actually speak to it. I mean, me and him actually, I don't think I've ever met him personally. Like, the reason it came about was G and hip hop were managing Just Blaze, and they, as a favor to the producers on Entourage, one of the producers on Entourage, Steve Levinson, and G had a mutual friend, and they introduced him and played him a mixtape that had him and Jay-Z on it, and that was enough for them to think that he was going to be the next hottest rapper because Jay-Z was co-signing him.
Yeah.
Right.
And they didn't really, they didn't know too much about hip hop to know, what underground music was like. And we wanted to have somebody, have Turtle manage somebody on the show. So that was a character that was going to be explored. And they said, what about him? And I actually remember, who did I pitch?
Oh, this is a good game. I'm on the edge of my. No, I'm just on the edge of my seat. Gravy.
I can't believe I can't remember. It's
gravy.
I made his joy, by the way, too. So
there you go.
Oh,
no. But he's huge.
Gravy is huge. You're right. He's a big kid.
No. He's on songs with Jay, and I think he signed to Def Jam also.
Oh, the kid you thought about pitching?
No, the guy. You're gonna laugh at me so hard when you find out who it is because he's huge. I mean, he's
Jay Mills. So
who's
huge.
a rapper with BBM, like with the
Weird Al Yankovic?
No, with the Black Mafia or whatever.
Young Jeezy?
Young Jeezy.
Oh, wow.
So Young Jeezy was actually we were talking to him about being on the show.
Yikes!
That would have been different.
As being, but production was concerned, or maybe Def Jam he signed to Def Jam, right? So maybe Def Jam was concerned that he might not show up to set every time he wanted him to be there because he just really did his own thing. So they kind of talked us out of it. So this is before his album was ever released, and I remember hearing the music and going, he's ill. We should get him. So we went with Saigon out of the considerations between all the mutual friends involved, and then I think I can't tell you why he didn't succeed. I know that part of the problem was probably, if you went onto Atlantic's website during that time, it said Entourage next to his name, as opposed to treating him as an artist, and I actually do like some Saigon songs.
Totally.
My confusion with him as a fan, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I apologize beforehand. But I guess my confusion as a fan of hip hop or of the music itself is, he to me, I can't tell if he's Nas or 50 Cent. Like, are you?
I agree.
Where are you coming from?
Right.
And if it's both, be conscious in what you're saying, and sort of let us know that you're confused between which.
He's conscious in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
But that's still. I mean, that doesn't answer.
But you know what? It's cool. Like, as an art form, I understand. Like if he was just out there writing stuff. But as a consumer trying to connect the dots on who you are, that's the part that confused me about him. And then to me, I don't know, is like maybe that is who he is. And if I got to know him, I would appreciate it. But having so many layers apart from actually knowing who he is, like. It's hard for me to connect all the dots, and it makes me think maybe it's not real. So
fair point.
So
and the same argument could go in the idea that if 50 Cent played that character and then we heard 50 Cent's music, I think we would have celebrated it because it helps that character make sense.
Right.
If someone were to not know who Saigon is, watch Entourage, then listen to the music, and they're like, I'm highly disappointed by this character.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And I think on the other hand, if Jeezy would have been on that show, it might have ruined him because he was so fucking dope.
Maybe.
Right.
I agree.
So maybe the better point should have been that
I'm not saying go get Blair Underwood, though.
Well, why not?
Because I liked
Did you see him doing the Running Man in Different World? It was so bad.
All right, well then don't get Blair Underwood. For reals, don't get Blair Underwood. No, what I'm saying is
are you going to pull out 227 references?
It's coming. Jack A just called. She said she wants her reference back.
On the stoop with Calvin.
Yeah, I'm saying when you have someone like Vener, when you have someone like Vener involved, and you know that there's going to be credibility and there's going to be a real authenticity to the hip hop. I like the idea of getting someone that's the rapper to play himself. I just think that there's also a bit of a pull the curtain back that felt a really, really not genuine with the Saigon pick.
Another thing to Saigon's credit, though, is like I don't think anyone expected the storyline to go on as long as it did, but he got along with everybody. Like the whole cast loved him. Everybody on production loved him.
Yeah, great guy.
And I think that's the reason why his character stayed as long as it did. Maybe if it didn't stay that long, maybe. And plus, Atlantic waited forever to put it out. Like they had the music.
Aren't we still waiting?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're still waiting.
He's finally off Atlantic.
Okay. He is off Atlantic, and actually, I think Ben Glickman is managing him now.
Well, Sway is involved somehow too.
Yeah, Sway and Tech.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
good to know.
But you wouldn't rather have an actor play that part because like.
Well, rappers playing actors playing rappers is always a nightmare.
Just why not Fredro Starr? He's always played.
There you
rapper.
go. Why not Fredro Starr? A little
Fair
old,
point.
by the way, I think, compared to where they were going.
Right,
but yes, why not a Fredro Starr? Sure.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But that could have been kind of interesting.
Managing
an older rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have back pain. Baller. What I feel like what we should focus on with you is the idea that a lot of the feelings that I get just by perusing the blog as of recently is the idea that you do have a bit of resentment towards this new school. Like, even though Roscoe Dashy says you fuck with him, there's still sort of a thing where you, and I feel the same way, so I'm not putting it on you, but there is a feeling that, and it's come up, I think, in almost every podcast we've done here in LA, but the idea of these new odd futures and these new groups that are sort of coming out, and they just don't care about us. They really, I mean, in Odd Future's song, they call us antiques and relics, and they go right at us 30-year-olds, which is just like, please don't come to our shows. I mean, they actually talk to us, which is brilliant in a sense because they've mostly avoided us. But I've said before, like when I've met Tyga had no idea who Camp Lo was. He had never heard a Full De La Soul record.
Camp Lo, most expensive song ever used on Entourage.
That's the kind of stats I'd like to hear. What is that? That's Lucchini?
Yep.
Lucchini's the highest.
They never paid they never did a deal on the sample, and they owed them so much money that I think
they were the first group when they dropped. I was at the label, and they're up on Profile. So, so basically, we checked SoundScan because it was a very, very dull week when they came out, and for an independent band then, and I'm talking about straight up, with the video, they came out the bank, the album was fucking fresh.
It was great.
Cooley High was crazy.
Amazing.
But they did 75,000 for, you don't understand, for that, for them was huge back then. So, go on. But
wait, I'm going to go back to that. I just have one last question for you, which is, how do you convince someone to use it?
Well, we put it in, and it was such a great scene. It was Johnny Drama when they were in Vegas. They did the Vegas episode, and it worked so well. Like the beginning with the horns and the whole thing, that no one wanted to lose it. So what we had to do was we had to get permission to license the one with the sample in it, and we had to pay for that song, and then I had to pay for a song that was never used, which was the original song. So both songs got paid for, and one was never even in the episode.
That's crazy.
That was the only way they would do the one-time thing, because they feared that if they agreed to a percentage that was owned on the particular song, that would the money that they owed, they would.
Thank God you didn't use Black Cow and Deja Vu. Shit.
I'm actually the only person I think to get Little Ghetto Boy licensed also, and that was when I believe
that's an end credit. That's an end credit.
I remember it was right when the whole bankruptcy thing was filed, and I happened to have an in with the law firm that was controlling the Death Row catalog.
Really?
That's crazy. And that's the only reason I got it in. I remember calling him, oh my God, I love that show, The Lawyer.
Before they sold it to that woman?
Yeah.
Didn't the woman buy it? Yeah, it's great.
I know where you're going.
Was Ben your Death Row Connect?
Let's get back to what I was saying to Baller, which is just the idea of sort of the youngins versus us thing, which normally I would say we were winning. I would say that we had them. I'd say that we made them feel bad about not knowing all of Wu-Tang songs. We had them knowing. We had them on the ropes.
By the way, you don't have to call us them.
Whatever. I like signifying, okay? I've been signified in hip-hop for too long. I'm saying, I think we've come to a point now where we are being beaten.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's start.
I think. And you're friends with Drake. I know you're friends with Drake. I know
you're
friends
with
Wale
has bought stuff from you.
Yeah.
Wale, okay, see now, this new generation, well, let me just get into, Wale, I know him because of Dan, and I'm sorry, through Dave. God,
right.
That's so terrible. I just was Dave, I'm so sorry. Daniel. My bad.
Daniel.
Daniel Weissman.
Daniel Weissman.
And Dave's his assistant. Okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
Wale bought a couple, some jewelry and everything. I didn't really know too much about Wale, but then we were part of the same message forum. That's done. Wale, I respect it in certain things. I haven't listened too much, even though he is a friend. I've been in a cameo in a couple of his videos. Done. Drake, I'm sorry. I respect it.
Me too. I like Drake.
What I'm saying is, honestly, I haven't heard anybody that I really wanted to fuck with that hard. I like his metaphors. He's clever. He's marketable.
They're not technically metaphors if he doesn't say like.
Actually,
thanks, old man.
A simile would be like.
Going back to that,
you got me twice.
That's cool. As far as everything else, the state of hip hop, to me, is fucking horrible. I think it's terrible. Jay Electronica, though, I was like, all right, I'm not.
He's older than us, by the way. Yeah. Just for the record.
But Jay Electronica, I mean, like Jay-Z is now about to find out what it's like to be Jimmy Iovine with Dr. Dre. Like, when is it coming out?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so,
sitting there waiting for him.
Yeah.
Like, I have such a hard time thinking, what was the last dope CD I bought? And you want to know what it was? It was Talib Kweli and High Tech Reflection Eternal.
It was great.
And that CD was fucking phenomenal. Yeah. But what my biggest argument now is everything's a feature. Oh, featuring this, featuring that.
Yeah.
I grew up in the era when Slick Rick dropped the Ruler's back, and he didn't have nobody. You hear more
or Nas.
I mean, even
Illmatic.
Nas too. I mean, but I said that with Illmatic, but at the end of the day, AZ was on, a little bit, what I'm saying, of that. But, Nas too, and just, it bums me out. So, every time, Homicide makes a joke all the time. And for those of you who don't know, DJ Homicide is the original DJ of the Alcoholics, and he's an old school DJ. And he used to actually...
That might have been the group that blew up that you were talking about.
Which one? Oh, Alcoholics? Maybe. I got to keep thinking.
I don't know. But anyways, I don't even know what I was saying anymore.
Homicide.
Yeah. So Homicide, he just basically, every time he gets into my car, he's like, fam, you are not listening to anything older than 96. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. And going into this new thing, how we're going into the new age and the old age, I kind of co-signed with Far East Movement. And they had their first big show. It was the first time a Asian group was headlining the Roxy. So I called Nick. I said, hey, Nick, man, it's been a long time. We haven't talked. Let me come up here and let me introduce my group the right way.
Right.
So Amp Radio backed out something. Something happened, some political shit. So I said, you know what? Let me get on Twitter. I have a powerful blog, close to 1 million visits a month. I said, let me go on here and pump this.
Yeah.
I said, everyone needs, if you are Korean, if you are Asian, if you do not come to the show, I'm punching every one of you in the mouth, whole nine, blah, blah. So I go up there and I said a speech. And very quickly I said, you know what? 10 years ago, I was on this stage. I don't know if it was to the day, but it's very close. And a group was up here, 3 brothers from Hollis, Queens, Run DMC. And let me tell you something. Jam Master Jay's mixer didn't work. So I went home and got my mixer. I said, you know what the fuck that means? That's like Kobe Bryant asking you to borrow your shoes. You don't know what that meant to me as a DJ. Do you know what I mean? I got goosebumps. I had just buried, we just buried AM. So I was so fucked up already right there. You know what I mean? Right. Childhood friend. And I said, listen, do you have any idea what kind of prejudices I face as an Asian in hip hop?
Right.
Like, that Chinese guy doesn't know hip hop. I'm Korean. Yeah, whatever, China, man. And shit like that. And I'm like, first of all, going into the business, it was only 2 people that were executives in the hip hop. It was me and the guy at Relativity in '94 named Peter Kang, who had Juju. He had Curious George. Right. He had Fat Joe. He had Beat. Just those guys. Yeah. And so it was tough. Everyone was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, sure. Why don't you go over there and make another compilation with Friday Soundtrack, blah, blah. Right. And that's just how it was. And I said, so these guys are going to do it. From that point on, FM fucking skyrocketed and took off. Now, I know they compromised. People are like saying, oh, well, they're not lyricists and blah, blah. They actually were originally. They just, they want to be.
Well, they're also not trying. I don't think that they've never asked us to talk, and I say this meaningly. I say, like, they never asked us, they're not going to be brought up in Hype Man podcast as rappers. Right. So I don't hold them to that kind of thing. Like, I let them do the G6 thing because it's like, that's funny and that's cool.
But now you open a whole nother can of worms. Yeah. Everything, and I don't go out anymore. I'm fucking old. I'm ancient. I've been going out since I was like 11. Do you know what I mean? Right. All these clubs, and Scott knows, it's all electric.
Oh, it is. Oh, Power 106 is an electric station. You know that.
It's house. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad at Cuddy.
No.
You did the mixtape. And and I respect all that, and it's cool, and that's where it's going, and stance and everything. And me being a DJ, this bottle culture, which I'm a fucking huge contribution to fucking the whole dance floor up. It's like no one wants to dance anymore at clubs. They even bob their heads. They want to see they want to be seen. They want to see who's there, what celebrities are there. Right. And me as a DJ, me and Am used to DJ and be like, if these people aren't dancing, it's like such a disrespectful thing. Like some people, this ain't a lounge. Right. We're at a nightclub. People want to dance. Right. And I want to play made you look. You know what I mean? But I can't do that. I got to kind of play.
I mean, you can't deny how real the electro music is in that whole world.
Yeah, I mean
if hip hop doesn't start, how it borrows from other genres of music in order to keep itself afloat.
No, I just heard the Jim Jones record, which I made you listen to.
Well, that was crazy.
I don't know if you've heard the new Jim Jones song.
No, I haven't.
It'll make your head explode. It's him doing awful.
Which one is it?
It's him doing Cuddy and FM and movement. It's him doing one of those songs.
Well, if they don't borrow from the electro world
correctly
in order to sustain themselves, it's going to die.
Well, you're going to need a genius. You need a genius like Just Blaze. You need an actual genius to have that happen, right? Which is rare. And like a Deadmau5, which you said, like someone like that has to do it. And if you allow everyone to do it, like
but I don't
Jim
know.
Jones
recently, I was online and I couldn't believe that this happened. But Deadmau5 decided to. I think it was during Fashion Week in New York when he was DJing a party. He had a live camera and he would put it on Ustream, and he had close to 18,000 people watching him.
Really?
Live. 18,000. I took snapshots of it. Well, because I could not believe it. There is not Jay-Z, I don't think, could get on there.
That's crazy.
And get 18,000 people to start watching him.
So do you see yourself in your work? Do you see yourself shifting with this? I mean, is that something that you have to
like,
do that yourself? Because
for
I
me-
mean, I know you as Pete Rock. I know you as Camp Low. I know you as sort of these references that I'll understand and freak out about. Brand Nubian or Main Source. I've heard you use all those, and then now I wonder, does that become dated if you're on 90210?
I ended with LaRue, which is In for the Kill. Now all of a sudden she's nominated for Grammys and doing songs with Dr. Dre and Kanye and Jay-Z. I mean, it's kind of odd. I put in Empire of the Sun, and he ended up on Jay-Z's album.
That's my favorite record last year.
You know, so and Luke Steele is like a really cool guy. He came out here from Australia, and I got to meet him. You know, I mean, it's really bizarre for me because it really sucks like when he brings up AM, because AM and I used to always like trade songs back and forth,
right?
And I would be like, "What do you think of this? What do you think about this?" And like after the episode, he would never want to know what I ended up using. So there was like 10 of my friends who you know, we all would like, you know, those are really the people who I'm placing songs for. Like there's 10 of my friends in my world, and if one of them makes fun of me, I failed, you know?
Right.
So like
No, go on. I'm sorry.
So that AM was like somebody who would put me on to new stuff all the time, and I would put him on to stuff. And I get music before everyone.
Right.
Yes.
You know, like seriously. Honestly, like all these bloggers that think they're the hot shit because they're putting up their music. I've had that shit for 3-4 months.
Shots.
Like I cannot put the music up there yet.
Right.
Scott will send me videos of like from YouTube, and it will literally have 2 views.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, how did you find this? He's like, listen, I'm the first person that anybody sends anything to.
That's crazy.
But it sucks, like, you know, because I would love to make, you know, brokemogul.com. I would love to make it.
Oh, we get to those. Don't worry. We get to those.
I would love to make it like the hottest blog, and like I could post so much music. Like if some hacker got into my I have to rename everything in my iTunes, because if someone got into my iTunes,
Scott's had detox for like 3 years.
Right.
Oh my god. By the way, I heard. I'm gonna talk about.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
So,
come on.
Going back to when I retired from DJing.
Yeah.
We're at Homicide's house, and AM goes, "Yo, man, this is gonna be the hottest club song," and it was Usher, "Yeah." And I said, "Yo, man, I remember when Little John was an intern at So So Def,
Right.
and he threw me Go City DJs. Was it or My Boo?
My Boo, yeah.
Right.
And I was like, wow."
Little John made that.
Yeah, he definitely was one of the production. If he produced the whole entire song, everything. My boy Eddie was there. You know, I mean, anyways, going on to where the music was going, I was like, all right, this dance shit is okay. And Usher is not R&B anymore. He's fucking dance straight up.
Well, yeah, I mean, Enrique Iglesias.
No,
I mean, there's a ton of people.
You know what? I actually suggest when they did Usher. What was the last music awards they just had?
American Music Awards.
AMAs. Like Usher really should have brought out the cast of Jersey Shore behind him. Like, that would have been. That would have been the fist pump. That would have been.
But I mean, but just to go to that question, like, do you find yourself pushing that way on 90210, or I mean, do you see yourself next season for Entourage? Do you see yourself dipping into that dance bag?
You know what? The dance stuff is really hard to place on television because it has so many noises and so many changes that it's unless it was a montage where there's not a lot of talking going on. It's hard to support a scene. Like you have to remember when you're doing it that the scene comes first and the music comes after.
Right.
The reason why I can go in for the kill, you know, on like the end credits is because I'm hitting a moment right at the end, and then the song can play all the way through.
Scott's a genius because he pulled out an old record off Snoop's Blue Carpet Treatment.
Yes.
And
imagine. And everyone hit me up saying, is that from Detox?
Yeah, they're like, yo, what's up with this new song? And I looked through my thing. I remember hitting you either it was BBM or something. And I said, wait a second, that ain't fucking, that's old as hell. Because I heard the song and I was like, but everyone started putting it into their playlists on their iPods. I walk into this chick's car and she's bumping it, totally different. I know she doesn't really fuck with Scott, whatever. And it was just, she had that. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So, and
another one is Lady Don't Take No.
Yeah.
When I put that at the end credits, all of a sudden I was walking into the clubs and I would hear that playing.
How does something like Charles Hamilton's Brooklyn Girls get on there?
Man, we're hitting him with all the hitters, all the big winners.
I had Freddie Gibbs in like season 3, season 4.
So how does that happen? Like if a Freddie Gibbs, a Charles Hamilton, these names that do they end up in your inbox as songs, or are you actively trying to find
that
them?
one happened to be 3H and Archie sent me the songs
Right.
Before, and I actually met
3H. Okay.
Hey, 3H getting songs placed on Entourage.
Hey.
Yeah.
Can't be that, man.
And they actually sent it to me, and I actually liked that song.
Yeah.
I had to actually do them
I like
a
both of
favor.
those.
That's a good song.
I had to do them a favor and get Pharrell and Jay to clear the sample in it because
Okay.
there's
Really?
a sample in there. So
No biggie.
it actually was.
Hey,
Actually,
Scott, could you do me a favor and clear a sample from Jay-Z and Pharrell?
Yeah.
I'll be right back. See you guys. I just did it, guys.
I
Later.
just can't fuck with the music now. I'm glad you shared the blog.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, you're bitter, you're a hater. Like I said, I have like very few, and like a lot of the new guys, all the new schoolers, they fuck with me because they're like I'm the OG, whatever. But then when it come to music, like this kid was, he started rapping. He's in the studio, and I won't say what studio session, but one of those big. I'll give you a hint. It's either the J. Cole group, the Wale crew, the Drake crew, and these guys are rappers. And I was like, yo, man. I was listening. It was so easy. It was I'm still number one BDP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the guy's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is that? And I said, what do you do? He goes, I'm a rapper, son. And I was like, how old are you? Because that was, 88? It wasn't that, but the kid was born in 80, 89. So he didn't know it. And I said, man, study your trade. I studied my trade. My family's been doing this 35 years, but I had to do 35 years of schooling inside too.
Yeah.
And I had to step it up. So this, I just hate this music, but another guilty pleasure. I don't know why, and it's so bad. I fucking love Gucci Mane. He just cracks me up.
You're speaking Jeff's language.
It's just it's but at the same time, I don't necessarily fuck with Waka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once in a while, I don't really have a choice. So I listen to Sirius and again to whatever. But like I'm listening to the Pete Rock podcast of him DJing on Flex's show and that last Stretch and Bobbito show.
Yeah,
that's the golden era for me.
Yeah.
Like, I see people running to go get Wale's, no disrespecting into Wale, this is just a
Right.
true story.
Yeah.
For them to go run to get a picture with him, and they're pushing Fife to the side. I'm like, yo, do you guys know who the fuck Fife is? In his heyday, you can fucking see Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
They were literally, me and Abe, we played Tribe all night.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I think we finally found a group of kids, this new group that just don't care. I think that we had a bunch of people who were like 20, 25 who were coming
but
up.
are you speaking of Odd Future?
They're one of them. I think
they do care. Like I
Really?
actually met Tyler.
Yeah.
And spoke to him on the phone actually, and he knows like the dates albums were released, like the actual dates.
Well, I think that when we talk about Tyler, this might be an anomaly. Tyler might be an anomaly in a sense that we know he's very talented, and we know that he is putting on some sort of act to an extent.
Right.
But his act is definitely that he hates us.
Right.
His act is definitely don't come to my shows if you're over 28. And that's
But isn't that more that he was making fun of the two bloggers that were old,
who he hates as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's and those bloggers have our mentality.
Right.
If it's not right or Two Dope Boys or whatever, they have our mentality over there. And I think we finally found a rap group that just is like not only just them. I mean, there's a whole group of them, and I don't think Waka cares what we say. I don't think there's most of those kids don't care what we say. And I think with Baller, which is when we first said we were going to have you guys on the podcast, it just came to mind, which is like I think there's kids who aren't listening finally. And it's a weird feeling, which is like, it's like when Lupe messed up the lyrics at the Tribe Called Quest thing.
Right.
He got shit on, and everyone was like, ah. And Lupe sort of was like, he kind of apologized. If I remember the whole story right, he was sort of like, I didn't know. These kids won't apologize.
No, Lupe did not apologize.
What did he say?
He said he listened to NWA, not
instead of Tribe.
Yeah.
Well, then that's still sort of a cop. I mean, in real life now, you have kids who are just like, because I don't fucking care. And it's not just Tyler and them. It's a whole group.
No, but then you have all these people like J. Cole who are coming out and who are actively trying to court, people who appreciate lyricism. And, I think that it's a very broad stroke that you're...
No, I'm just saying, sadly, those people are much... These people I'm talking about are very popular right now.
What about Nicki Minaj? I mean, she's basically stolen Missy Elliott's entire steez and career.
I have been openly a fan of many of her verses. I will, because if you listen to the podcast, I've come out and said Monster's amazing. I've come out with a lot of things. I just think the music, I think the album itself just doesn't have songs on it.
By the way, talk about like she stole Missy's steez why isn't Missy angry about it? You know.
Well, you know what? How do we know that she's not?
sleeping in a race car?
No, I'm saying she's not openly.
I'll bet you this. This is probably the first time anything has inspired Missy to finally get back in the studio and do some work.
That'd be awesome.
Good thing.
And I bet you we're about to get some songs from her where she's about to let you know.
And I think Kim needs to give it up.
That sounds like BrokeMogul.com has
I think that Kim
some songs
does give
already.
it up.
We're gonna start. We do have to start wrapping it up.
Honestly,
though.
okay.
No. Go honestly.
No, I was gonna say honestly, like, you know, I'm sure Nikki realizes what she's doing, and if she, you know, I would feel better about her if she was trying to get her on one of her songs as a feature.
Yeah.
But since it's not happening, either Nikki's not asking. I'm not saying I know the answer.
Right.
Either Nikki's not asking or Missy's not saying yes.
Right. I'd like to know.
And you know, you don't. I just don't like. You know, Jay pays, you know, homage to everybody he's influenced by.
For sure.
And that's definitely something that happens in hip hop. And for her not to respect that and do it, and then just like her videos are basically, you know, Hype Williams specials.
Come on, man.
Yeah. You know,
but let me bounce off that. Being tight with Jay through a certain period, and we can wrap it up on this.
Yep.
I did a blog about the top 5 greatest MCs of all time. And I say lyricists. Okay, I won't get into all 5, but I'll get into 2 of them.
Okay.
One bouncing off. We're shooting a video for Song Cry, Jay-Z album.
Yeah.
Go into his trailer. He's bumping America's Most Wanted from 1 to end. That's it.
Great record.
That's one of the greatest albums in history.
Yeah.
I don't care what shitty ass music Q's made in the last 10 years.
Right.
You talk about his first 3 records,
Yeah.
and he's fucking spitting
I love it.
out of his mind.
Death Shift gets one of my favorites too. So is Predator.
And then the person right after him, and people were like, "What the fuck? How could you put Rakim next to Andre 3000?" Andre 3000 is off the fucking hook, man.
No question.
we need more Andre.
Yeah.
So we really do.
I wish he
Let me
would
just
come
ask
back.
this real quick. You mentioned Detox before, or you had a reaction to Detox before. In short, what's going on and
Do we know anything? I like Kush. For the record.
I love
I think it's a
Kush.
good song.
I think it's a
so.
great song.
Damn.
It's been buried by Kanye's album.
Yeah,
and
big time.
It's
Nicki's
tough
album.
it's tough to speak on it
Sure.
because right now I'm just kind of starting to slightly get back into the flow of the Aftermath fam and some more cats over there. Dre is fucking there's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Then there's I don't know if he's crazy, you know what I mean? I think there might be 100 songs recorded. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can say, but as far as some of the more vintage beats that I heard, holy shit.
Yeah.
And going back into the electro thing, I didn't say he touched into that, but don't think Dre don't remember Kraftwerk and all the old school Mantronic shit.
He used it anyway. He was sampling that just in a different way.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was
and
sampling
bits
it.
and pieces. So I can't speak on Detox too much, but the fact that
The single's good.
Yeah,
Single's
great.
good. I mean, we're so quick to talk shit. The single's good.
The other question I have real quick is, did you hear Funkmaster Flex's reaction to the crowd?
He basically said that he doesn't care about Tupac.
Right.
fuck Funkmaster Flex.
Okay.
That's a good way to end it.
Bottom line.
Wait. I like Funkmaster Flex.
Fuck Flex.
No, it's just it was a West Coast diss. I think so. People out here took it a little harder than
Yeah, I
anyone
mean,
else.
I think Flex's thing was that old feelings are hard to sort of like let go.
I don't know. He sounds like a very emotional
I'm sorry,
man,
I know we're ready to wrap it up. Let me say this, though.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck out of any artist I've been on stage with. I've been on stage. Jay has a good show, certain things. But as far as crowd, I'm talking mesmerizing, never ever seen it. Pac, before anybody crossed over to that, to the Italy and to the international crowd, he owned that audience. His energy was out of fucking control. Pac really had that presence. So I'm not talking about him, being the best lyricist in the world, but he was a poet and he had a lot of energy. And thank you, Carl.
I felt the same way. I felt the same way about Quo. A joke only they'll laugh at. At that note, we've been Hype Men. Really quick, can and this is like a 2-second thing. Next season, any hint you can give us? Is there someone you're looking into? Sounds like you talked to Tyler. Is there anyone that you're looking into putting on the show?
Musically?
Yeah.
I know what I want to end the season
Who
with.
do you fuck with musically?
Sorry, bring it back. Is this something you can leak? Anything you can tell us?
No, it all depends on how the video works. As I listen to music, I put it in a folder like, possible end credits, but it all depends on how the scene ends up working because it has to like hit the emotion and the beat. So.
Well, good. Well, we're excited, man.
And your guys' websites again?
Yeah, you could give a little plugs. BrokeMogul.com.
BrokeMogul.com.
ifandco.com, which stands for Internally Flawless. ifandco.com.
Which is the jewelry company.
Yes.
And
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, you have another one?
No, I was just gonna say the Twitter is @BrokeMogul,
Which is a very good Twitter. I like it very much.
Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you, man. This has been a fucking pleasure. I appreciate it. My name's Jensen.
I'm Eric.
I'm Jeff.
Those are It's the Real Boys. Thank you so much to Scott Vener and Ben Baller. This has been amazing. Thank you guys.